Well, good morning from the wonderful island of Harris and this beautiful beach called Luscantire. It's absolutely stunning here. We've come down this morning because we wanted to capture some morning light, and it's just starting to fade now, but there was lovely pink colours over the tops of the hills here, but it was a bit of a rush to get in and try and capture some of it. But it's just absolutely stunning. It's one of those places that really takes your breath away when you see it, and it takes you a while to work out what to do and how to shoot it. I've been here for maybe 3 or 4 days now with Dean Allen, just scouting out for a future workshop, and I had these grand ideas of getting loads of videos done, but what's happened is I've just enjoyed the shooting. And because it's a new place and not being here before, and because it's so spectacular, it's been more a case of taking the scene in and trying to work out how to shoot it. But it's just absolutely beautiful, I can't tell you. So what I've decided to do, rather than go down to the shore side, is to get a bit of elevation and to look over the scene. There's a lovely, beautiful curve. It curves right the way around from left to right. And I'm trying to get that curve into my scene and get it moving from the bottom left of my frame to kind of the middle third. And it's just absolutely beautiful with this range of mountains in the background there. Obviously, you've got bits of cloud hanging over the mountain tops. So I'm just trying to frame that up. And I think it'll make a really nice 16:9 shot. I know I say this quite a bit because it's one of my favourite aspect ratios at the minute. I just love that sort of wide letterbox format. But even though the light's faded quite a bit now, you've still got so much atmosphere to work with. So this is what I've got going on, if you can just see. Over the right hand side is where the beach curves off to the right, and about the middle of the middle of the frame there, and then I've curved it round into the bottom lower left hand corner, and I just think that works really nicely. You can see how much blue's going on in the sky, and that's because I'm using a polarizer. See if I just turn that, how much. I mean, you get to the point where it's too much and you start to get a piece where it's just way too blue in the middle there, but I'm just using it because if I just take the polarizer off, you can see it loses all detail with those clouds in the back there. So I'm just using the polarizer just to bring that detail back in. Not so far as I get too deep blue in the top there, but just far enough to bring that cloud cover back in. Centering the frame on that middle peak there, because it's just starting to catch some light now as the sun comes up. And I'm focused about a third of the way into the frame with this as well. F8 at a fifth of the second at ISO 50. Now, I'm not overly concerned about the movement in the grass down here because it's this beautiful marron grass, and I quite like the look of the marron grass with a touch of movement in it, because it gives that sort of softness to the scene. And I think this sort of scene really lends itself to that softness. Obviously the background elements I really want quite sharp, but if there's a bit of wind movement within the grasses, I can live with that, because I think it just adds to it for me anyway. So, captures this shot with just the morning light just kissing the tops of these hills. And if this shot's turned out, I'll pop it up now for you to see. Now, what I love about this place and what I've discovered about it over the last few days is that you haven't got to be disappointed about the weather, because it can change literally like that. If you wait a few moments, the weather conditions change. And it can be how do I explain it? It can be absolutely amazing and it can be stressful at the same time because you don't know which way to shoot first. I was up here the other day and there was the cloud banks off in the horizon and there was spotlights of light coming down, lighting up out in the sea there, and it just looked amazing. And then I turned around and there was all sorts going on over here. So there's no lack of things to shoot here. I mean, you could stand in this spot all day and it would change, constantly be changing. I'll pop a few of the shots up that I actually got the other day and you'll see what I mean. That the light here just changes so fast and you just get so many different looks to the scene. Two things I want to discuss with you. Before I actually came to Harris, I purchased some spikes for my tripod, and I can't tell you how much they've saved me over here, because everything is either sand or peat. So we went out yesterday and we were shooting some peat huts in the middle of some moorland, and without these spikes I think it would have been a nightmare, because wherever you were standing the peat was moving, so it would have been really difficult with just normal rubber feet to actually manage to keep my camera stable enough to shoot. I'll pop those shots up from yesterday now. As you'll see, these things will help you out no end. I can't recommend them highly enough. Is just get some spikes for your tripod feet, because it will save you in this sand, especially if you're shooting down by the waves and in the sea, because as you can imagine, the waves are coming in and your tripod's moving around, whereas if you've got spikes you can jam it right down into the sand and it's not moving anywhere. Now, as well as the spikes, the other thing that I think is really important is to get to know somebody who knows these places intimately. Yeah, so I was just talking about the importance of getting somebody who knows an area, and who can take you to the places that you would struggle to find normally, eh?
Yes, oh, absolutely. I think it's very useful to be able to come along with somebody who knows the area well. Yeah. Knows the locations and knows how to get to them without getting lost. Yeah. And more importantly, knowing when to go to these locations. Yeah. I think that's key. And I think really to be able to go along with somebody who has that information is hugely beneficial. Yeah, I think so. I would have thought. Yeah, because otherwise you spend half your time driving around looking for the places, and by which time you've lost the light. Yeah, I think so. And particularly these workshops, they tend to be in the winter when there's a lot less light. You know, you may only have maybe 8 hours light a day, and so it's important that you structure your day so that you don't waste so much time. And I think being with somebody who knows the area, I think is a big help. Yeah, and I think that goes for anywhere really. Anywhere you visit, I think the same principle applies. If you find somebody who can direct you to locations, local guides or whatever it might be, it makes all the difference. Yeah, absolutely. So, mate, we've come to Harris and Lewis this last week. Well, it's more or less been a week, and really interested to know what attracts you to these sort of locations. It's kind of obvious to me because it looks like a Caribbean paradise at the minute. But it is today. But what also appeals to me about locations like this is that we're seeing it on an absolutely picture postcard day with blue skies and brilliant sunshine, very calm waters. Yeah. This isn't this isn't the norm here.
No.
The norm is that it can get quite lively. The wind does get up here, and it does create quite lively skies and quite lively seas. And what I like about working and living up in the Highlands is the speed with which the weather systems change.
Yeah.
And although I pay attention to the forecast, the weather forecast, and various apps that most of us use, I take them with a pinch of salt, and I never let them deter me from going out. So if rain is forecast, torrential rain is forecast throughout the day, I take it with a pinch of salt because the systems change so quickly. So I always go out regardless of what the weather forecast is. Because you just never know.
Funny enough, because that was something similar I was saying in my last video about getting out in all weather conditions, because those are sometimes the best conditions.
They are, without a doubt. And yeah, if it works in your favour, then it's a great decision. It doesn't always work in your favour, but there's a chance that it will, particularly up here where it changes so quickly. And so that's one of the things that really excites me about living and working in the Highlands. I've lived over in Ascent. I currently live in the Cairngorms, and it's just it's beautiful. It's almost like world-class scenery. And there are so many opportunities for landscape photographers up there. I don't do an awful lot of woodland photography, but even for woodland photography, it's a fantastic location. But yeah, it offers so many possibilities, and I also like to do a lot of photography which includes the relationship between man-made and nature. So I kind of do a lot of photography with bothies included in the photographs.
Really nice, those ones we visited the other day.
They are
stunning. Peat bothies, are they?
Absolutely, they're peat bothies. And I love the history. I'm currently studying a history degree in Scottish history, so I find it absolutely fascinating. And so yes, I think for me, what draws me to these areas are the world-class landscapes, changing weather systems, and also you don't get many people up here.
No, I've noticed that, which is awesome for me, because I'm a bit like you.
It is.
The least amount of people, the better.
Absolutely. I think if you're antisocial or you just prefer your own company, this is the place to be.
For sure.
Especially in the winter periods, there tends to be even fewer than there normally is. So you come to these fantastic locations and invariably you have them to yourself. And parking is free, or virtually free in Scotland.
Unlike the lakes, where you need to take out a mortgage.
I've heard it's pretty awful. But invariably you'll get free parking up here as well. Well, almost exclusively free parking up here. So that's another plus. But yeah, it is. They're the main reasons.
I don't blame you at all, because after seeing what we saw on Luscantire the other day, where the weather patterns were changing so fast, you could have spent the whole day just stood on top of that one mound.
Absolutely.
Just turning round, because every time you turned round there was something different happening behind you.
Absolutely. And I think the more you work up here, and the more you go to these locations, you start to understand the weather systems a lot more. You can anticipate the weather systems. Not 100%, but you get a good idea of how it's developing, which is important, particularly when I spend a lot of time by the water, doing a lot of coastal photography, and you should never turn your back on water.
No.
That's absolutely rule number one, and it's very, very relevant to up here when things can change very, very quickly.
I nearly lost the camera bag yesterday by doing that very thing. I'd just gone down to the tripod to adjust it. Turned back round, there was a wave heading for my bag.
Exactly. You've got to be so careful, but that can work in your favour in terms of photography. That it will bring in a different weather system, and that's why I always go out. I'm never undeterred by if the weather forecasts are bad. It makes no difference to me, because it's so localised up here.
Get out there regardless. That's the main sort of thing. You've got to say.
So they're the main reasons that I love living up here and love working up here. And for me, it's also not just about the end product. It's all about the experience of being here. It's all the experience of seeing. We've seen some Highland cows walking along the road as we came into this little village, and We've seen golden eagles this morning.
Yeah, absolutely stunning.
It's just all about the experience of not just taking the photograph, although that's important. If you're a professional photographer, that's how you're judged. That's how some people will judge you. But it's all about the experience as well.
But I think you'll come away with better photos if you actually take in your surroundings as well and get to know them before you start to shoot. Exactly.
And that's why I'm studying Scottish history, because it will give me a greater understanding of how these landscapes have developed and evolved over the years. So I think a greater understanding of the landscape helps with photography.
Well, buddy, thanks very much for bringing me up here, and look forward to this workshop we've got running in February.
Yeah, so me. Can't wait.
Yeah, be really entertaining. We're not going to get weather like this, but it'll be awesome none the same.
It'll be even better when it's windy and lively.
Yeah,
even better. Yeah.
Cheers, buddy.
No worries. Thanks very much.
Care.
See you later.
Ta-da. Bye.